Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to tell you a story of pride, surprise, humility, and the power hidden in someone's untold gifts. It's a story about how a seemingly simple person, a maid, turned the tables on a billionaire CEO in a way no one saw coming. I want to take you back a few years, to a major corporation on the brink of closing a deal worth $6 billion. The CEO was a man used to control and power. He ran meetings, he commanded respect, he expected deference. In his world, hierarchy was everything, and people below him, staff, support, maintenance, were not supposed to shine, at least not in front of him. In that same building, quietly doing her daily tasks, was a maid. She cleaned offices, rearranged furniture, polished floors, tidied desks. She was often ignored by the higher-ups and dismissed as invisible. He often passed by her without a glance, sometimes chuckling when she fumbled something, or shrugging when she struggled with heavy cleaning. The cleaning staff were, to him, part of the background scenery. One day, the CEO had to welcome a delegation of international partners. Representatives from different countries, speaking different tongues, gathering in his boardroom. This was a make-or-break meeting. The success of this meeting would decide whether billions of dollars would flow. As the guests arrived, they exchanged pleasantries in their own languages. A German representative speaking in German, a French executive in French, someone from China speaking Mandarin, someone else in Arabic, Spanish, Japanese, Portuguese, Russian. The CEO attempted to address them in English, but nuances and cultural touchpoints were lost. During the early exchanges, a translator struggled. An awkward silence descended. At that moment, the maid, who had quietly followed the arrival of guests to help with last-minute details, heard them talking. She recognized bits of languages. She realized something. If she could help smooth the communication, she might save the meeting from disaster. She hesitated. She was just the maid. What would people think? What would the CEO think, if she intervened? But the tension in the room grew. He saw his deal at risk. So he called out to his staff. Hey, is there someone who can help with translation? All heads turned. The maid stepped forward tentatively and said, I can help. People in the room froze. Laughter rippled through some of the executives. The maid. Translate. But she didn't retreat. She simply began. She addressed each representative in their native language. Guten Tag, Danke, Angenehm Reis. To the German. Bonjour, Enchanté de faire votre connaissance. To the French. Ni hao, wo hen gao xingjian dao ni. To the Chinese. To the Arabic speaker, hola, mucho gusto. To the Spanish, konnichiwa. To the Japanese, hola, prazer m konhais lo. To the Portuguese, zdravstvuyte, priatno poznakomиться. To the Russian. In total, she spoke 9 languages. The room fell silent. The laughter died. The expressions of disbelief, shock, respect, they all came flooding in. The CEO, whose eyes had mocked her before, now froze. His mouth opened and closed. He stood speechless. Because in that moment, it wasn't just translation. She wove context, cultural references, tone, she bridged gaps. She was able to mediate misunderstandings, correct inflections, suggest alternate phrasing. She became the linchpin of communication. The delegates nodded, smiled, shook hands with renewed warmth. The meeting resumed smoothly, the deal moved forward, negotiations succeeded. The $6 billion agreement was sealed. And the CEO, he was forced to swallow his pride. He realized that the person he had laughed at, the one he thought irrelevant, was the very one who saved his deal. The one whose voice mattered more than his contempt. Now, you might wonder, is this story real? It circulates online in motivational articles and inspirational email chain style posts. For example, one version appears in an online magazine called Head Insider. Rich businessman hears cleaning lady speak 9 languages. What he does next leaves the whole office stunned. The real identities, names, and full factual verification are elusive. Its possible parts are fictional or embellished. But the story carries a message worth reflecting on. Let's pause for a moment and dig deeper into what this story teaches us. Even if some of the details are uncertain, the lessons are strong. The dangers of underestimation. We tend to categorize people by their roles, CEO, manager, intern, cleaner, and judge their capacity by those roles. But those judgments blind us. We forget that any person might have hidden depth, unseen talents, or strengths unmatched by their station. The CEO underestimated the maid. He laughed. He dismissed her. But in doing so, he nearly lost everything. When he finally saw what she truly was, not by her uniform, but by her words, his worldview cracked. The power of humility. He couldn't shrug this off. He was forced to acknowledge her. He was forced to see that no matter how high you are, sometimes your survival depends on someone you thought was beneath you. That realization is humbling. Voice and visibility. The maid had lived invisibly, in the background, quiet, unnoticed. But the moment she spoke, she commanded the room. She drew attention not by arrogance or posturing, but by competence and calm presence. She turned invisibility into visibility, simply by stepping up when needed. Kindness and recognition. Even though the story is dramatic, at its heart it's a message about respect. How many times do we ignore those who serve us, forget their humanity, their talents? The story urges us to look again, to listen. A smile, a nod, a kind word, these can awaken someone's confidence, let them step into their light. So if I were to adapt this for a meaningful video, here's how I'd imagine the narrative, step by step. Scene by scene, as though filming a short docudrama intertwined with voiceover. Scene 1: Arrival. Night before the big meeting. The CEO paces in his penthouse office. He talks into the phone. This deal must go through. Camera follows him downstairs, through the corridors, as he passes by the cleaning staff. He barely looks at them. One maid quietly sweeps the floor. Voiceover. In a building full of drama, the richest man believed he had all the control. Yet he overlooked the quietest person in the room. Scene 2: Morning in the boardroom. Guests arrive, greet each other. The translator stutters. The CEO frowns. Some tension, miscommunications. The maid passes by with cleaning cart, overhears fragments of languages. Voiceover. As mistranslations mounted, the deal teetered. Words matter, and so does who carries those words. Scene 3: The intervention. The CEO, frustrated, asks who can help translate. Silence. The maid, after a brief moment of hesitation, steps forward. Voiceover. Courage is sometimes quiet, but it takes one act to shift the balance. Scene 4: Her performance. She begins addressing each delegate in their own language, with warmth and fluency. The room watches, jaws dropping. The CEO's expression drifts from scorn to disbelief to respect. Voiceover. Her voice, once dismissed, became the bridge. 9 languages flowed through her lips. Boundaries dissolved. Scene 5: The aftermath. The meeting ends successfully. The CEO and executives applaud. The maid returns to her cart. Calm. The CEO stops her, tries to speak, but the words feel small. He nods. She nods back. Voiceover. In that moment, lines redrew. A servant became savior. Respect earned. Pride humbled. Scene 6: Reflection. Cut to host camera. I reflect on what we've all learned. To see people beyond titles, to listen, to value hidden talents. Voiceover. Host. Direct to camera. We never know who holds the key to what we need. The one we ignore might be our salvation. As for writing the full script, around 2,500 words, here is how it would unfold in full narrative form, minus scene headings, keeping it as seamless as possible. I want to take you into a world where walls are thick, corridors echo with ambition, and the powerful move through glass towers believing they own all angles. In that world lived a CEO, a man accustomed to commanding attention, making decisions that moved markets, and orchestrating events in his favor. He believed every important voice belonged in his inner circle. Others, the assistants, the cleaning staff, the support, were invisible, incidental, not essential. Every morning, he entered the building, greeted by polished floors, freshly vacuumed halls, offices shining under fluorescent lights. The cleaning crew would be there before dawn, already at work, while he sipped coffee in his car, preparing his mind for the day's demands. He rarely paused to notice them, except perhaps to nod perfunctorily or glance with mild indifference. Among the cleaning staff was one woman whose name few knew, whose presence few acknowledged. She moved quietly, but with a kind of steadiness. She handled her tasks with dignity, whispering to herself as she worked. She cleaned, she rearranged, She polished, all while carrying thoughts, memories, skills that no one around her suspected. One day, the CEO was preparing for a pivotal meeting. He had flown in investors and partners from multiple continents, each speaking different languages, each expecting to be heard in their own tongue. The stakes could not have been higher. If this meeting failed, billions in capital would slip away. His offices were polished, his slides prepared, the coffee ready, the room set. The delegation arrived. Smiles, handshakes, introductions.